Welcome to Monday's Leftovers, where we break bread over Sunday soul food. First and foremost, per usual, thank you for spending time at the dining room table with me to turn these sermon notes into spiritual nourishment. This past Sunday, our speaker came from Deuteronomy, the first chapter, verses 37 through 40, and pretty much this is the aftermath of Moses proclaiming to the Israelites that God had commanded them to pretty much go get their blessings, go up into the hills. It's y'all turn to occupy this space. And so the Israelites, operating out of fear, was looking for every excuse that they could find to kind of not follow through or not step into their assignment. And so God removed said assignment to them, something similar to Saul with David, where he didn't step into what God directed him to do, so God reassigned it. And so I'm going to go over the speaker's notes, and I pulled out some, but then I'm also going to tie in some of the kingdom keys that were downloaded into me as I went home and, I was fishing for the word myself. So as the speaker started, we were asked the guided question of, have you ever passed up on an opportunity you wish you had taken? She made the connection with Shark Tank, and Neurogum is like trending all over TikTok, so I'm sure that we're all aware of it, where pretty much they passed up on an opportunity that they wish they took. And so she stamped that, it's one thing to pass up on an opportunity amongst people, but to pass up on an opportunity that God pretty much ordained over your life, that's a whole another thing. And kind of all around my place I have for me to move in alignment with my assignment. So assessing everything at all times to make sure that I am moving in God's purpose and in his will over my life. She goes in, gives the history. So Moses is recounting their history and how they passed up on God. And so while God was trying to direct them and lead them into deliverance, they were too busy trying to build a strategy, which in essence was just a delay tactic for their lack of faith. And so for me, I put that fear is a tactic of the enemy to keep you from experiencing the fullness of God. One, we know that the enemy is the author of confusion. Two, we know that God does not give us a spirit of fear. And so anytime that you feel fear or discouraged, I want you to step back and kind of seek God and analyze whether or not this is of God or if this is of the enemy. She went on to say, when you delay, God diverts. And that's what I put. If you don't move, the assignment doesn't end. He just finds someone else to do it. So don't be the person that missed out on this great blessing or this great opportunity because you were too scared to step in what God ordained for you. Going on, it says consistently throughout, and I read the whole chapter 1. It just keeps saying how the Lord went before, so he pretty much went before them, peeped out the scene, aligned all the ducks to make sure everything was good to go, so that when they got there, they were able to conquer it in the way that, he was trying to direct them to. But because they couldn't see how big and how great our God is, they were hindered by fear. And so she goes on to say they projected their fear on God. He don't like us. He's trying to kill us. And I related to that on another level, because a lot of times when we're going through those valleys in life, when we're going through that wilderness, because chapter 1 immediately tells us Moses spoke to all Israel in the wilderness east. And so we know that that wilderness is a period of being tried and refined. But I know that in that moment of being tried or being in the wilderness, that a lot of times we adopt this victim mindset of woe is me, and God, why do I have to go through XYZ, as if we are exempt from suffering for being believers, or because we know that God exists, that means that we shouldn't go through anything, when his own son had to come down and suffer on our behalf to save us. So who are we to go through, in comparison, these mediocre trials and tribulations that we have to go through in order, to be spiritually developed? Another subject for another time. But she went on to say they projected their fear on their children. So first they projected it on God. Woe is me, you did this to us, etc., etc. But then that wasn't enough. They went and they fed that fear into their children. And I just feel like so many people do that, especially people who are victims of like trauma, a lot of times subconsciously, so you don't even have the awareness that you do it, but your tactic to protect your children or your family or the people that you care about is a tactic of instilling fear in a way that hinders them from moving into their purpose, when in reality you should be able to look at what God has brought you from. You know what I'm saying? That should increase your faith enough to let your children and those around you know that you can do all things through him, because how did I get from what I went through to here to where I am to but God, continuing on, what you were afraid of, your next generation will conquer and occupy. So my application to that is that truthfully, life is about breaking generational curses. So you go through what you go through in order for you, in essence, to, I'm gonna say, stop that enemy, that spirit there. So all the things that I had to go through in life, and I feel like many of us in the millennials, but we adopted this mindset. But my goal was to protect my daughter from what the experiences that I had in life, but it wasn't by limiting her. It was more so by creating opportunities for her to demonstrate, or for me to teach her, to create teachable moments for her to not respond or react the way that I had, so that when she get in life, or as she's going through life, that she has a greater toolkit than what I had to go through what I went through, which in essence now I have this fearless daughter who, could conquer the world, believes that she could conquer the world as she can, but she know to who that credit goes to. It's not to me. Moving on through the notes, she goes on to talk about like how when we get to 37, Moses goes, because of you, the Lord became angry with me. So he sent me to help y'all step into y'all purpose. And then y'all didn't listen to me. So now I got to, receive consequences because you guys didn't listen to me. And so pretty much like y'all tripping. Like he brought y'all through everything that y'all been through, and y'all still don't see the power, like his power, like how he can deliver you. And so he just restamps like, or he pretty much goes into the idea like, well, you didn't do it, you know what I'm saying? So God diverted it. He reassigned it. And so while you didn't take care of it, your offspring will. And it's kind of the same for us. Truthfully, like when you just look at just the history of Black people and our traumas and what we've experienced, it didn't start with us. Like it started long ago. And the reason that we still battle the same spirits that we battle, because somewhere along the lines, somebody didn't address that, that the spiritual need there. Somebody didn't stop and dissect it there in order to protect or divert that energy. So for me, I'm very big on like, how can what I went through stop at me, so that my daughter and the future generations to come don't experience or don't have to learn the same lessons that I had to learn. And then back to the kids, she mentioned, why would you speak fear before faith? And that was something that I was always intentional about. And so pretty much, as I'm coming up on a close for time, this message is about trusting God. It is about stepping into alignment. It is about being purposeful. It is about when you hear him and he tells you to move, for you to move. It is for in those moments of despair and being discouraged and being fearful that you do it. Like Nike, just do it. If you got to do it broke, if you got to do it broke in, if you got to do it scared, like no matter what, just do it. Just step into the purpose that God has for your life, so that he doesn't reassign it to somebody else. And then you're sitting in the seat that you are still trying to learn what it is that you refuse to learn. And so my song choice for the night, as we get ready to step into our assignment that God has placed on our life, is so lace up your put on your backpack. It's time to ride. It's time to